Welcome to Chronicle. I'm going to read some short statements made by those who know the Jehovah's Witnesses organization. There are so many people bitterly repentant of having approached a religion. Often on the Chronicle portal we talk about how the government and some entities intent on the conspiracy keep entire nations in check. But there are people who go looking for it. I mean, those who approach a religious organization are often convinced that that is the faith approved by God, without even knowing that if you seek God, your search should be considered sacred, and it is only to God that we should be accountable for our actions. But if you seek God through clergy and religion, then know that you will find what someone believes to be God. In particular, the focus is on the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, and the statements I will show you are a summary of a reflection. I hope you'll watch the video all the way through, and enjoy. When we were children, my mother would drag me to the Kingdom Hall. I would rebel to the best of my ability. I would be dragged into the car by my hair, and on the way I would receive violent blows, blindly in the face often until I was unconscious. I would often not be able to breathe. I would wake up in the Kingdom Hall with the taste of my blood in my mouth, with the elders constantly telling me, "Do you want Jehovah to destroy you? Do you know what you're putting your poor mom through?" Around the age of 17 I decided to give it a try and understand if being in that organization was the right thing to do. Plagiarism began with physical violence and dragged into psychological violence. I resisted until I was 25 years old. Jehovah's Witnesses took the best years of my life, and no one will ever give them back to me again. Dave. When I told my mother that I didn't want to go to the Kingdom Hall anymore, she beat me savagely, and then she put me outside the front door. I was 17 years old. It was December and it was cold. I was on the street and it was night. I was frozen and scared. A gentleman convinced me to get into his car, and late at night, I didn't know how to get out of that situation. I was raped. He left me money as if he was paying me. I went home and my parents told me that this is what happens to those who turn away from Jehovah. My mother took my money and told me that it would go to the contribution box at the Kingdom Hall. In fact, Jehovah's Witnesses used money from the violence I received. Officially I was branded a whore. Sophia. The elders visit every elderly person who belongs to Jehovah's Witnesses, and every week they are reminded of the concept that a true Christian who is nearing the end of her days must show that she has enjoyed the work of the faithful and discreet slave, that is the leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses, and for this reason if she is a true Christian she must leave all her inheritance to Jehovah. Most of the time it is a matter of circumvention of the incapable. My grandmother blindly trusted the elders, and she really believed in all the promises of everlasting life, and in the love that the congregation has for her. And when she died, she did not leave us a penny, but everything was in Jehovah's organization. Reynold. I met Jehovah's Witnesses and started a Bible study with them. After a few years of meetings and study of Watchtower publications, they convinced me that I should get rid of and burn anything that had to do with idolatrous images. Some items of linen and some valuables were burned or I would be treated as an outsider. They did a damage of 26,000 euros, and that was more or less all I had. Now I am in a lawsuit with these people. Lucia. Did you think that the public pillory is no longer fashionable? When you don't do what the elders say, or if you try to contradict them, you are mortified in public, offended, mocked. The elder goes to the platform and invites the whole congregation not to associate with this or that person. It happens frequently, or they will say that that person has been recalled, inactive, or they inform you that that person has lost what they consider privileges, or they invent infamies in order to force the subject to lower his head. Many believe in this sort of big brother. They made scorched earth around me. The accusation is that I had pointed out that the Watchtower had changed his opinion a lot of times about the end of the world, and each time we had to say that it was the truth. The truth is what the faithful and discreet slave says. The logic, as the elder said, is Satan's. I lost all friends and contacts. If anything I really had one. Paul. My mother, like practically all the mothers of Jehovah's Witnesses that I have known, loved to say I bring you before the elders when she wanted to force me to do something. She called the elders. When she knew that I could tell someone how she treated us at home, she called the elders. When I did not wash the dishes or did not obey on the spot, she called the elders. I basically lived my childhood being threatened by my mother and the elders, who came to the house and behaved like fathers and masters, and I have no idea who the fuck these people are who held my mother in check, and had replaced my father's authority. Denise. My wife began to attend the Kingdom Hall. They also asked me if I wanted to participate in the study of the scriptures according to Jehovah's Witnesses. I never saw anything good in those people, but I could not stop my wife from attending them. With time, my children turned against me, and they began to make strange speeches about Satan and God. In the house there was fanaticism and division. Then my wife asked for a divorce because the elders had told him to get away from people of the devil. For those who don't know, the person of the devil is me. My wife and my children don't talk to me anymore, because according to them I chose the world, and not Jehovah. Lorenzo. The elders of the Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses visit families and ask extremely intimate questions, even about sex life. If you don't open up completely, you are a suspicious person, and you are defamed. Knowing this pattern, my wife and I were quite united and prepared, but over time we were invited individually to a kind of Room 101, a second area of the Kingdom Hall, where they were questioned individually, almost as if to check if the answers matched. They did everything in their power to pit us against each other in order to improve the control they could have over us. Finally my wife gave in to the constant psychological pressure and began to tell the elders about everything. Over time, she would talk to the elders about whatever she and I were talking about, until she got to, if the elders told me so, it should be done this way, the Watchtower says it too, and there I realized that my wife was like possessed. Now she's alone. And the thing I'll never forgive myself is that I was the one who brought Jehovah's Witnesses into our house. Eric. I am not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but I loved a girl who was. I adored that girl. But I got a phone call from an agent of Jehovah's Witnesses. He spoke as if he were the master or the pimp of that girl. He said that she is Jehovah's property, and if I wanted to date a Christian, I would have to take the steps to join Jehovah's Witnesses. She was threatened with expulsion from Jehovah's Witnesses. It would have been in some way an annihilation for her. I lost her like this, the woman I loved, perhaps the only one I ever loved. Now she's confused, a slave to chains she can't see, and I can't save her. Adam. Whenever the Watchtower Society changes its opinion on a passage of interpretation of the Bible, that must be considered the truth. If the Watchtower Society decided, as of today, that Jesus played ice hockey, everyone would go and preach Jesus who plays ice hockey. Often 2 plus 2 does not make 4. At the discretion of the Watchtower can make 5, and that must be considered the truth. As the elders of my congregation explained, the truth in what the Watchtower says, for pointing out that perhaps the Watchtower was wrong again, I was disfellowshipped, vilified, and reviled by Jehovah's Witnesses. Suddenly from one day to the next I find myself losing my job because of the defamation, and treated like a child thief. I just wanted to find the truth, and I found mud. Ricardo. At dawn on September 11, 2001, the Twin Towers were razed to the ground. Everyone saw those images on TV, and everyone had a blow to the heart. Everyone except Jehovah's Witnesses. In the Kingdom Hall I heard expressions of joy, because that attack, for the Watchtower, represents the days leading up to Armageddon, and Satan's world is beginning to collapse. One expression that prompted me to leave the organization was, "God, how much I enjoy it." A man or woman of God, he would never have said that. I'd rather be alone in the world with 0 contacts, than continue to be a part of this organization. Luke. To be born and grow up among Jehovah's Witnesses is like being born in a box, and every single moment and every single day of your life, you are told that outside the box there is Satan, and everything has to be burned, cause in the end only the box will be saved. Now that I'm out of it, I know that the mud, the mutiny, manipulation, infamy, and fanaticism are all things I've seen in a box, thrown away. Now I'm alone in the world, like anyone who has dissociated themselves from the box. But I'm free to be an excellent person, or at least try to. Vincenzo. I am still one of Jehovah's Witnesses. If I decided not to be part of it anymore, I would lose my sisters, my parents. I would also lose my job, and I would not know where else to go. I have to undergo 5 meetings a week where in truth absolutely nothing useful is said. I have to listen to elders puffed up in their role, and suffer the reprimand of the elders at least once a week. I have to pretend to go preaching and knock on doors because if I don't I'm not a true Christian, and I don't have a shred of evidence that this is the congregation blessed by God. In the meantime, I'm missing out on everything, including my life. Angelica. When I was a child, my father died. The elders came to the house explaining to everyone that now my older brother was the head of the family, because he was a ministerial servant, hierarchical appointment of Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, my brother has always been a sadist. At home he behaved like an ogre, and in the hall he filled his lungs with words said by this or the other apostle of Jesus. Now he was allowed to beat me for fun and I had to suffer, because he had told everyone that I am mad and a rebel, even that he feared that Satan might take me out of Jehovah's organization. Guess who they believed? Now I'm free, and I never got justice. Daryl. My parents prevented me from seeing friends at school. They came knocking on the door of the house to invite me to play and my mother chased them like dogs. Even at school it began to become a torment. My parents, Jehovah's Witnesses, never allowed me to go on a school trip because they are people of the world, and I, on the other hand, the son of Christians, I had no friends in the Kingdom Hall because my parents had told everyone that I wanted to hang out with people of the world. I could never attend a party for the same reason. I could never go out with the girl I liked at school because she was a person of the world. I have never even been able to play outside the walls of the house because as a child I was told that those who are not Jehovah's Witnesses are possible rapists, kidnappers, and in any case a person that Jehovah hates. It is from birth that I hear him say, I must not associate with the people of the world. Today I am an adult. And I have not even had the crumbs of what a normal boy does in order to grow up, and I know I'll never get out of those memories. Paul. I wanted to read these statements to you, and I'll compose new videos if more arrive. If you have been ostracized and pressured by your religion, write us about your experience. You can also use a pseudonym if you want. Know that the truth can help other people understand that religion means a relationship between God and man, not between God and what a group thinks is God. Write me your opinion in the comments. Tell us what is happening within the Jehovah's Witnesses organization today. To be honest, these experiences touch me closely, because I have been one of Jehovah's Witnesses for many years, and God only knows how much I hoped that this could be the right way to go. I even believed that this was the way to get to the truth I was looking for, but one fine day you start asking questions. Would God give his mandate on earth to an organization that produces billions? If this were the religion approved by God, would God really allow undignified and unscrupulous people to become his disciples? I'm referring to the fact that most of the people around me were not the highest exponent of ethics. If you are one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I know for a fact that you have been told who you can talk to and who you can't, who should be your friend and who you can't. Know that you can decide for yourself. You can decide for yourself. You've been told how to dress, who to date, when to do it, where to do it, what's right and what's wrong. Guess what? You can also make your own choices. I know you don't know how to get out of it, and not everyone out there knows Jehovah's Witnesses are victims too. They're stuck in a mechanism where a state-based investor firm has reprogrammed their minds. Break the chains, ask for help if necessary. You don't need the elders or the watchtower to give you approval to be in the world. Think about it. There are over 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses in the world. How many of them would continue to be Jehovah's Witnesses if only they read Orwell's book 1984? Oh yes, I remember that this is a forbidden book, isn't it? Have you ever wondered why they don't want you to read it? Find the answer to this question. After all, you believe in the Bible, and in the Bible someone said, only when you know the truth will it set you free. I leave you with a phrase from Voltaire, reminding me that this concept is difficult for a Jehovah's Witness to accept. I fight your idea, which is different from mine, but I am ready to fight to the cost of my life so that you can express your idea freely. I wish you all the best. That's all from Chronicle.